Let's look at and talk about Glencoe models, Spacemen and Women from the 1940s. This is a box set that I picked up recently. There's 12 figures that come with the set. They come with 12 helmets. Though there are 3 figures in the set, right in the middle here, that can't actually wear helmets. That robot on the right, the helmet won't fit over his head, and he is a robot. Then those 2 figures in the middle are this mother figure, this celestial madrinha, if you speak Portuguese. She's like a godmother. She has this child. She's on the box as well. So she doesn't need a helmet because she is in relation to the Godhead or something. It's really cool box art. So let's take a look at the box first. It reads right here, Glencoe Models brings back to Earth some of the first plastic spacemen, spacewomen, and robots ever made. Long lost in the universe, these highly collectible, large, and helmeted classic space figures are now yours at a reasonable price. Each box contains 12 figures in various colors and 12 helmets. These figures are about 4 inches, so that they are large in relation to smaller figures. It's copyrighted 1991, Glencoe Models, made in the USA. There's a limit of liability statement. The sides of the box are both the same, but this side of the box is interesting because it has these illustrations of the figures themselves, or at least some of the figures themselves. So we'll look at these figures, and we actually do have examples of all of these poses or moldings, with the exception of this first guy right here. This guy with his hands on his hips with the rifle right there, that figure is not in this box set that I received. So let's take a look at the figures now. These are really artistic interpretations that really bring to life, I would say, the 1940s American fascination with space. Speaking of that, the set did come with a paper insert right here that talks about the figures, and then on the opposite side there is some advertisement for some other sets. So I'm going to set this camera down on the figures right here real quick, and I'm just going to read the insert. It says 1940s Spacemen and Women, a brief 50-year history. The spacemen and women in this box constitute the first plastic spacemen ever produced. The mold for the spacemen was made by Archer in 1946, and the first spacemen were sold in 1947. However, it was not until the 1950s that they came into their own. The spacemen and associated playsets were shown at the 1952 New York Toy Fair. This was the period in U.S. history where there was a flurry of UFO sightings and a large number of science fiction movies were being produced. As a result, it is reported that over 10 million spacemen were sold during that year and the next. This made Archer the most prolific of the plastic space toy manufacturers of the 1950s. By the late 1950s, the Archer spacemen had run their course, and more detailed and complex figures were replacing them on the shelves. A number of other pieces were produced by Archer in the early 1950s. These include rockets, futuristic cars, accessories, and of course the space women included in this box. The molds went to several owners until they appeared in an auction in 1991. At that time, Glencoe Models acquired them and began the lengthy process of restoring these tired molds after years of neglect. Many of the mold components had been stripped, and being so old, all the replacement parts had to be hand tooled, as none of the parts were compatible with today's tool and die components. Let's take a look at the ad on the back and see what other kits they had available in 1991. This one on the left, this alien pilot in glow-in-the-dark plastic, says first plastic science fiction kit ever made. That looks really cool. And then this one over here, designed by Werner von Braun himself to retrieve crew members returning from Mars expeditions. And there's the Mars liner. And then here's the figures that we have here in our set. So I'm going to set the camera down real quick again and see if we can take a closer look at these figures up close. I'm going to start here with this guy. That, to me, I mean, it looks like he's holding some sort of an auditory communication device, which doesn't make all that much sense since he's in a helmet. But on the back of that device is a patent pending mark, I believe. I don't know if we're going to be able to come into focus on it for some reason. But anyway, it's there. On the back of this thing he's holding in his hands, it says patent pending. There is a little C also right there. And then some of these figures have these nubs in place of hands. Now, I don't know whether this was what these figures originally looked like, or whether this was the figures that they made the mold. Well, that doesn't make any sense because these are made from original molds. But at any rate, that's a strange design. But maybe that's what they were going with, the plastic that they were using. They couldn't get the definition that maybe they could get from other, I don't know. These figures themselves are actually made of this kind of polystyrene hard plastic. This guy has the C there on the back of his suit. And all these figures have nothing on the bottom of their feet. Now, there were 2 of that figure in the set, in that mold. There's 12 figures in total, and there's 9 poses in this set. This kind of buxom, really buxom space lady here. All of their faces, or some of the faces, have this kind of cherubic quality to them. This is a full-figured spacewoman. She kind of has like a Jane Mansfield figure going there. This next guy, he's got something else going on. You know, he's got this device that I'm not sure what's happening here. He looks like he's detonating something or controlling something with the device that's attached to his waist. And here's the mother figure. You know, there's a circle there, but it doesn't look like there's anything inside that circle. This next figure, this robot right here, sorry about that. This guy I've seen before. Now, I'm pretty sure that this same figure was used as the central component of a board game in the 50s that I think was made by Ideal. I think it was called Magic Robot. I'm not absolutely sure of the name or the producer of the game, but I do know that this figure was affixed to the center of the board, and there was a spinning type mechanism, and this figure stayed in the center, and he was the magic robot that would make random determinations as to what would happen or to how many moves you would move in the game, similar to kind of like the Mystic Skull a game that we have from the 60s that we'll do a video on sometime soon. I really like this robot figure a lot. He looks angry. He's got his arms up, or or maybe he's lifting something. Here's another Spacewoman figure. I really like this one. She's in gold. She's a little bit different than the other figure. I think this might be my favorite one in the set so far, or at least at this point. I really like this figure. Alright, this guy, there's two of this guy. There's one in this color, and then there's one in kind of a red color. And he has this kind of this laser blaster or rifle or matter disruptor. And on the back of it, it says patent pending. And to me, it looks like there's a circle with a C on the back of his suit. I like this figure a lot as well. He is very cool. I like the uniqueness of the pose of, he's looking over his shoulder. Here's that same figure in a different color that came in the set. It's kind of this, I don't know what you would call this, maroon? Or, yeah, crimson? I'm not sure. And then this is the last figure in the set, the last pose that we haven't seen yet. Similar to the other figure in that he's kind of looking to the side, this very stylized, oops, sorry about that, guy. Stylized pose where he's kind of looking to the side. He's got one leg forward. He's holding a blaster or some sort of weapon in his hand. Perhaps it's a weapon. Maybe it's some sort of detector. I don't know. He's got a little C back there. I like this figure a lot too. For some reason, I'm liking the gold figures. Well, that was the robot we knocked down. So the set did come with 12 helmets, and we have 3 figures that don't need helmets, so we have 3 helmets left over that we can hopefully use for some other space figures of similar scale in the future. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at the Glencoe Spacemen and Women from 1991. I would like to say, if you're interested in space and astronaut vintage toys and figures and play sets, you should definitely check out the channel of Steve Nyland on YouTube. He makes great videos, and he has a lot of content about vintage astronaut and spaceman figures, play sets, and toys in general. So I hope you enjoyed the video once again. Thanks for watching. See you later.